5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is a simple explanation of climate change based on an article in the New York Times. The average temperature on the surface of the planet has already increased 1.7 degrees Fahrenheit since 1880, which may not seem like much, but think about it this way. The heat from human emissions is roughly equal to 400,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs exploding across the planet every single day. Future generations are in big trouble, but for now, it'll gradually continue to get warmer and storms will grow more intense, with longer periods of drought in between. But longer term, if emissions continue to rise unchecked, the climate disasters will be so severe they will destabilize entire nations, send millions of refugees across borders, cause widespread extinction of most species on Earth, and melt the polar ice caps, leaving most of the world's coastal cities several feet underwater. All this could take centuries, but something like the sudden collapse of agriculture would trigger immediate chaos in society. Best case is we get our act together and begin to rapidly bring emission levels down. Meanwhile, Earth turns out to be less sensitive to greenhouse gases than we currently believe, plants and animals adapt quickly, and major technological breakthroughs help society limit emissions and adjust to climate change. But these are all the opposite of what we're actually seeing, so the only thing in our control is to limit emissions using all available tools and best behaviors currently at our disposal. Worst case, the collapse of food production causes spiraling prices, and as our capitalist utopia breaks down, billions starve as our world gets violent and messy real quick, kind of like a zombie apocalypse, but with extreme hunger spreading chaos instead, so yeah, still just like a zombie apocalypse. This would be coupled with the melting of the Antarctic ice sheet, leading to rapidly rising seas that would force us to abandon many of our greatest cities and all of the social and scientific progress that we were making within them. Adding insult to injury is the fact that many of the emissions were emitted while building these now abandoned underwater metropolises. If emissions continue unchecked, we're looking at a total rise of between 80 to 160 feet, which would occur if all the ice in the poles melted. So the oceans will rise. The real question is how fast. Scientists only have Earth's history to base their predictions on, which suggests that the rate has occasionally hit 1 foot per decade, so we'll have to adapt to an altered coastline sooner or later, but probably much sooner than later, because computer forecasts only give us a range of future possibilities. The most important evidence comes from the study of past climate conditions, which clearly show that every time the amount of carbon dioxide in the air rises, the Earth warms up, ice melts, and the ocean rises. What's important to remember here is that we are in uncharted territory. Humans are pumping carbon dioxide into the air far faster than nature ever has before us. Scientists have been publishing strong evidence that warming is making drought and heat waves more frequent, causing heavier rainstorms and more severe coastal flooding. But while the internet has made us all more aware of weather disasters in distant countries, it's hard to prove these are all directly made worse by climate change. Canada and Russia both have vast frozen lands and could see some economic benefits from a warmer climate. Putin and the Russians, and until recently Canada as well, have been reluctant to make ambitious climate commitments, but expect that to change as these countries realize they will be swamped by millions of refugees from less fortunate nations. Libertarians and other political conservatives do not like the policies proposed to fight climate change, and have chosen to try and block them by actively undermining the science. This effort has been funded by the oil and coal industry, who favor making money above all else. As more resources are devoted to solving the problem, our chances at big technological breakthroughs are improving, but we still should be spending about 3 times as much money as we currently are on these efforts, according to several in-depth reports. You can reduce your carbon footprint by doing things like plugging leaks in your home insulation, installing a smart thermostat, taking public transit, taking less airplane trips, buying an electric car, and putting solar panels on your roof. A big one is eating less meat. But what's really needed is for you to speak up and exercise your rights as a citizen, because strong, collective action through state and national policies is how we'll make the most impact. Considering that we've been ignoring scientists' warnings since the 80s to limit emissions, we're pretty late in the game. But we've finally reached a moment where nearly every country in the world agrees this is a huge problem and seem ready to commit to taking at least some kind of action. Leading corporations will continue to make bold promises to do their part, low-emission technologies will improve, and many states and cities will go much further than any goals set by their national governments. The United States, the world's biggest economy, is finally starting to move aggressively, and China, the world's largest emitter, is beginning to recognize that it needs to do the same, as many of its megacities will be underwater if the seas rise too high. But it's up to us, the ordinary citizens, to continue demanding our political leaders tackle climate change, the hardest problem that humanity has ever faced. So like and share this video to help it spread. A special thanks to Justin Gillis of the New York Times for putting together the original article, which is linked in the more info section below. Until next time, thanks for watching TDC. I'm Bryce Plank.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me Muhammad Sahli from PT Kereta Api Indonesia to convey healthy and happy greetings to all of you. This time I will deliver material related to the implementation of ESG, environment, social and governance, policies at PT Kereta Api Indonesia. After we watch the video about climate change, I hope we can better understand how important it is for us to do something for our future and anticipate this climate change. PT Kereta Api has tried to develop an ESG roadmap to anticipate the impact of climate change on the railway mode and efforts to reduce carbon emissions in the railway sector. From this picture, it can be seen that the Earth is getting warmer every day. From 1850 to 2016, the Earth's temperature has risen by about 1.5 degrees Celsius. This situation will continue to occur and increase if no efforts are made to reduce it. Greenhouse gases will cause the greenhouse effect, one of which will cause global warming. The occurrence of global warming will cause climate change, which will definitely have an impact on climate disasters. Until now, greenhouse emissions are still increasing. Coal mining, coal plants, industrial processes, land transportation, etc. are examples of human activities that cause ongoing greenhouse emissions. Climate change: should you fly, drive, or take the railway? This question can be answered with the following table. Carbon emission from Eurostar as an example of rail mode is the lowest carbon emission mode. Eurostar only produces 6 grams of CO2 per passenger kilometer, while buses produce 104 grams of CO2 per passenger kilometer. The railway is one of the modes of transport with the lowest emissions per passenger compared to other modes of transport. Providing low-carbon services, but does that mean KAI's role is enough? What about the business operations within KAI? Apart from climate change, the COVID-19 pandemic has contributed to a new trend. Increased investor and other stakeholder focus on ESG considerations, public scrutiny, government regulation, ESG rating, encouragement for green jobs. Increased importance of social for corporates and investors, healthcare and access to medicine, education, sustainable tourism, rapid growth in social ties. This awareness keeps investors focused on environment-related opportunities, renewable energy, sustainable transportation, biodiversity, green bonds. Structural embedding of sustainable investments across asset classes, equities, bonds, private equity, housing. Business profits must remain visible, even in the current state of market volatility. The relationship between ESG and SDGs can be illustrated in the table below. Environment, which includes aspects of greenhouse gas emissions, air pollution, solid waste and liquid waste, land use and biodiversity, resource and energy use, reflects SDGs numbers 6, 7, 12, 13, 14 and 15. While social, which includes public relations rights, employee welfare, occupational health and safety, community relations, data security and customer privacy, access to basic services reflects SDGs numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, and 11. While governance, which includes governance structures in the company's organizational structure, risk management, code of ethics, investing in the green sector and anti-corruption reflects SDGs numbers 9, 16, and 17. Here are some examples of applications of environmental aspects implemented in the company: use of renewable energy such as solar panels in office buildings, stations, etc. Use of electric vehicles and construction of charging stations. Water saving, or paperless campaigns. Waste should not pollute the environment around the operational area, establishing a wastewater treatment plant, WWTP, rehabilitation of coastal mangrove forests and conservation of fauna. The company does not use animals as part of trials and does not harm animals in the production process. These are all examples of environmental applications that the company may be able to do. Examples of the implementation of the social aspect include: the company routinely conducts employee safety inspections, training related to hard skills and soft skills is provided to workers regardless of gender or position. The company innovates the products and services provided to customers. IT security or customer data is monitored regularly to prevent data theft. Recruitment of local labor around the company's operations. And others. Examples of the implementation of governance aspects include: establishment of an ESG working unit or ESG division under the director, in charge of managing all ESG topics. Transparent financial management in the company. Implementation of ISO 37001 regarding anti-bribery. Signing of integrity pacts for employees and vendors at the time of procurement of goods and services, and others. How to improve company ESG performance. The first step is preparation of ESG documents such as roadmaps, policies, data recap or ESG databank. The second step is ESG performance publication through sustainability reports, official website. And the third or final step is participation in the ESG rating as an evaluation report of the KPI performance of the Board of Directors to the Ministry of SOEs. This is our entire presentation on the implementation of ESG in PT Kereta Api Indonesia, and furthermore in the attachment of this presentation we have also attached the ESG roadmap that will be implemented in the company until 2060. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this presentation can be an inspiration to implement ESG in ASEAN railway companies. I also hope that next year we will meet again at the ARCEO organization in Indonesia. See you next year in Indonesia.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.